While scrolling through Reddit, I stumbled across an image that caught my eye. An image taken at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, March 6, 2026, in the queue on Rock and Roller Coaster's closing day. What makes this image so special, you may be wondering. Here it is, an exceedingly rare backstage glimpse of the Tower of Terror's exterior. Most Disney fans, including myself, can only dream of seeing something so spectacular. I began to wonder, were there any more images like these? So I instantly started digging through the Rock and Roller Coaster's hashtags on Instagram. Lo and behold, I found myself a treasure trove of these backstage Tower of Terror photos which we will analyze. I quickly discovered that the cast members utilized this area to avoid blocking guests from entering and exiting the villain show. At one point, the wait time was over 1,000 minutes, clocking in at exactly 1,300 minutes. This peak wait time emerged somewhere around 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The first photo comes from a Disney Food Blogs video. I will not play the actual video, but it is rather wild seeing that the line is all the way down Sunset Boulevard, which leads into Rock and Roller Coaster show building. What really blows me away is that Hollywood Studios, the park where Rock and Roller Coaster is housed, is also known is just opened its gates around 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This video was captured shortly after the park opening, known as Rope Drop. Yet, the line keeps going into the backstage area of Tower of Terror for reasons mentioned above. Keep in mind that the coaster is not even open yet. Most attractions begin their operations 24 to 30 minutes after the rope drop, and it's wild just how deep the line already is. I also wonder what that pink corded hedgehog-shaped tent is from if you look very carefully. I basically can assume that it is either a cast member break room, given its shape or size, or some sort of maintenance tent. In the next image that I stumbled across, likely taken sometime before the park closed, where everyone was scrambling to be the last person to ride or be last in line, I cannot help to notice the ride car's maintenance bay, which is basically a green canopy with some overhead lights. Some cast members do prefer taking their breaks in that area. I cannot tell you what holds my attention the most, the extensive line or the Hollywood Tower Hotel. Then as I keep scrolling, I noticed something else in another Instagram video posted by the Enchanted Desire. Here I see something that resembles a ride car. It looks to me like a black cube with seats inside. However, I cannot make out the specific specifications behind the green top and the really blowy image quality. And then the gold mine, the Eureka gold mine, one of the best images that I've seen from the entire ordeal. I'm like, oh my gosh, can this be real? Is this Santa Claus? Is this Too Fat? Is this the Touffe? Please let it be. Woo! And there it is. The gold mine, the Eureka Gold from Rock and Stardust on X, formerly as Twitter. And here it is, a very clear, high-definition image of the Tower of Terror ride car, which we saw in the previous but really grainy image of the green top. So, as you may notice, one of the images shows a close-up of the ride car's control panel, and you can see that it says E-Stop and Isolated, along with a few other control knobs, but unfortunately, I am unable to decipher the remaining text, which was a slight disappointment. I would have loved to read and study the functionality of what each button and light did on that ride car, just because of how fascinating every single aspect and inch of the Hollywood Tower Hotel is. Not sure why. I just cannot get enough of this tower. Then, in the second image, you can also see the ride car's wheels mechanisms that roll it across the trackless fifth dimension scene. It is really wild that Tower of Terror was Disney's second trackless attraction after the Great Movie Ride. And who would have thought that Disney would actually go out of their way to incorporate a dark ride aspect into the Tower of Terror? And please, Disney, let's bring back that golden era of 1990s Imagineering, and let's get more rides like Tower of Terror, where you combine multiple ride systems for the best, optimized, and most memorable ride experience ever. And that is probably the reason why Tower of Terror remains open 30 years after its opening date in 1994. No wonder it's one of the best Disney rides ever. Woo! And yet, what really gets me fascinated is if you look very closely at that image, you can actually see the ride seats. I kind of wonder how toasty these seats have gotten, especially since they have been left out in the sun all day, I presume. And another thing is, I used to actually believe that the Tower of Terror was made out of chocolate, had tiled floors with a bunch of roses, and resembled a Valentine's Day set. I definitely watched too much Willy Wonka growing up. But yet, going back to the image, I also noticed that there is a box with 21 LED lights, probably one light per seat, which really dawned on me that these serve as the seatbelt indicators, and that the lights would change from red to green depending on who buckled in. I also guess that each seat has a pressure sensor, like in your car, that can detect if someone needs to buckle up. So I begin to wonder, because of the autonomous nature of the ride cars, I wonder, how does the ride cars have store enough power, or are able to maintain a long enough charge just to be able to keep track of the seatbelts and to be an autonomous ride vehicle. That what really blows me away is just how long the battery life must be on these ride cars, especially if the ride cars are full capacity, and it must drag the weight of 21 people across the fifth dimension, monitor the seatbelts, pump the ride audio, and be able to give a video feed to the cast members, just to ensure that nobody's making no trouble in the ride car. I do realize that I can talk for hours and hours, and more like miles and miles, about the Tower of Terror ride mechanics, but we will be here for hours. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed what you saw, be sure to smash the thumbs up button, especially if you enjoyed Tower of Terror trivia and behind the scenes facts. And with that being said, see you in the next video. Woo!